Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Taking permission from that which is the source of Rahmah in a universal way and Rahmah in an individual, personal way. Rahman is that which connects. As you all know, there are three forces in life which controls the entire universe. And these forces are consciousness, connectedness, awareness. Everything is based on communication, and that cannot happen unless there is a connection. So the first C is connectedness. We all want to be connected. Do they love me? Do they respect me? Do they look up to me? And why do they exclude me? Don't want to be left out. What about me? It's connected to connect. The second force is that which you like has given you quality life, like health, like a good, clear mind. You want it to continue. So the next force is to continue forever. Procreation. How long will it last? We want foreverness, because each one of us is caught within the box of space and time. And you always want to know what comes next. What then? What then? What after? What after? What if he dies? What if she dies? What if I'm sacked? What if there is no food? What? What if there is no air? So, first you want to belong, connect. Then you want that good connection to be forever. So that's why we all feel insecure. No matter how much knowledge you have, wealth you have, abilities you have, you still are insecure. Deep, deep down. That's why even in this silly, childish way we celebrate parties or weddings or whatever, we all know it's a lie. You all know it will come to an end. You all know after a few days, a few weeks, or sometimes even within the first hour, they start quarreling. But all those pretense of having the nice pictures. So we are like that. We are completely, in every way, it's not just programmed, we are inseparable from that foundation of wanting to connect. Do you know them? Are they nice family? Are they wealthy? Connect. Communicate. You will not exist without a language, which is to communicate. And then continue. How long will that relationship last? Oh, maybe 40 years, until of course she had cancer or you had ulcer or whatever. We want that which is forever. And to be conscious of consciousness of consciousness. So without consciousness, none of these things exist. You won't be here, I won't be here. And Ahmed will be spared the trouble. So all what we want is to know, what is it, the state that I feel truly connected, and I feel that that state will continue, irrespective whether it is within my body or has left my body. So these are the three C's that we are. And the Qur'an repeatedly throughout its amazing magic reminds us of that. There is only one. There is none other than one. And that one is the source of your life. You are not separate from it. There is no distance. There is no absence. So that which you are looking for is already there. You are hardwired to it. You want to be certain, you want to be secure, you want to be content, you want to be stable, and yet you desire every now and then to go to the edge. That's why we love to be challenged to the edge. What about now? There's nobody left. They've all run away. Like Imam Hussein in the battlefield. They're all dead and his baby son is there next. But yet he still performs, lifts the arrow. Would you do that? Or would you run before it is? Save yourself. Run. It is like the two fellows in the park. So he said, what if a lion comes? He said, we run away from it. He said, no, all what I want is to run away faster than you. Save you. What are you doing? You are obsessed with life. You and I and he and she are obsessed with life because it is the connector, the continuer, and the giver of consciousness. That's what. There are 5 surahs I wanted to share with you so that you can see how rich is the Qur'an. If you are truly come to it in bereftness, not assuming that you have done yes, you are a hafiz, you are a this, or you come bereft. Come as though this breath that goes in may never come out. Maybe the end. Are you cheerful to leave this world? If you are not, then you have work to do. Because Allah reminds you in the Quran, there is nothing I created unless it is a pair. من كل شيء زوجين. So there are 2 births. One is your biological birth, and the other one is spiritual birth. To awaken your love for parents, connection, ancestral lineage, etc., is all a reflection of the love of that which is permanent within you. You have to be reborn to know that that is who you really are, your ruh. Not I and a ruh in me. A ruh was for a while caught into this prison of so-called body and mind. Body is easy to tackle. It's got organs, it can relate and connect and so on. What about the mind? What about before there was a mind? What about the early neuron connections in the womb? Every time your mother was screaming or angry or unhappy or sad, it will register. No escape. Nothing ever escapes. Everything is already there. There is only Allah, and He is there everywhere. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا تلاها والنهار إذا جلاها والليل إذا يغشاها والسماء وما بناها والأرض وما طحاها ونفس وما سواها.
Translate.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, by the sun and its heat, and the moon when it reflects the sun, and the day when it clearly reveals it, and the night when it covers it with a veil, and the heaven and He who constructed it, and the earth and He who expanded it, and the self and He who made it balanced.
This is a cosmic description. Suddenly gives us the whole story of what is this universe we are in. Life on earth is due to the energies that has come from the unseen, and the sun is a major one. There is similar energy from inside the earth as well. But our life will not be at all the same as this if it was not for the sun. And its effulgence, it's original, it is self-generating. Every second, 4 million tons are burnt from hydrogen towards helium and whatever, on and on. So it's burning itself within itself. Well, Qamari, which is only a reflector, the moon has no internal generating energy. Talaha, it follows. all of these amazing billions of heavenly entities are interconnected through many forces. The obvious one is gravitational, and then there are all of the other forces of radiation, the push and the pull and the unseen, and then it comes out to the earth more physical. Energy and matter are interchangeable. All of it is from subtler energy, original energy, mysterious energy. And we have the beautiful story that all of what you see and the unseen is compressed into the dot of Bismillah. It's a metaphor that it was so intense, so compacted, so much in Jama and gatheredness that we can't even imagine. So that's what happened. The sun and the earth and the moon split from the earth to run around the earth also. And all of it is around the sun, and all of it is within the galaxy around the black hole of the galaxy. وَالنَّهَارِ إِذَا جَلَّهَا, and then this midday and so on, and the light and the ability for us to have whatever we do during the days. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَاهَا, and the night covers all. Silence, no visible, but your other senses may be active. وَالسَّمَاءِ وَمَا بَنَاهَا, and this immensity of the heavens. All what we see is a tiny amount, tiny bit of those entities that are within a few light years away. A light year is what takes light to travel for a year. And light travels at 300,000 kilometers a second. So the sun is 8.4 minutes away from us. The light of the sun takes 8.5 minutes to reach us at that speed. So think of the immensity. Thousands of light years are nothing compared. So it's for us to realize that this space and time is so immense that it reaches a point that is no longer subject to space and time. And that is what the ruh is from. And that is what the human spirit or soul is from that domain, from that zone, not subject to space and time. That's why no matter how much you get, how much you obtain, how much you have, within space and time would not be enough. Once you realize that all the time, that you are a ruh, and the ruh is being manufactured in a zone that is not subject to space and time, then you become patient. See, they don't know, what can you? It's not just the child doesn't know. The grown-ups don't know even worse, because they think they know. So they impose upon the child. They have no respect for the ruh. So the child, which is 1 year old, has not got the filter upon the ruh. The nafs is not yet developed. It takes about 5-6 years. By then, they've got their personality. That is a filter for the ruh. Otherwise, the child is a ruh. So it has no patience. The ruh doesn't know time. So instantly. So the child said, now. No, not next hour. You know, the parents, of course, cheat. They try to prolong the whole issue. So, knows all. The ruh is not caught for a while in the sphere, in the second womb. Your mother gave you the first womb. Now you are in the second womb. As I said earlier, there is nothing unless it is double pairs. So that's the second womb. Each one of us in this earth, we are in the second physical, chemical womb. That is the experience that the ruh is going through. So the ruh is on a bit of a journey. It is from the infinitude of consciousness levels. going through finitude of consciousness. Yes, I'm conscious that I'm speaking. I'm conscious that I move. I'm conscious that I'm communicating, transmitting and receiving, and so on and so on. So, وَالسَّمَاءِ وَمَا بَنَاهَا. The same thing is this earthly, heavenly duality. It's both billions of stars and a tiny little earth. And here we quarrel about tiny little 1 meter away with your neighbors. They have encroached on your garden. So there's a huge thing. Now you have to go and employ these people who all appear very important as lawyers. They put on a suit, so and a tie, it has to match. So they say, no, that he's a serious professional. That means that when the fee comes, all of this has been counted in it. Every 2-3 weeks he must have something in you or whatever. If it is a woman lawyer, then every week must be, every other day, you count it. The same clothes you are wearing, you're not a professional. You're not in the corporate world. وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا طَحَاهَا. Make it accessible. It was not the same a few billion years ago. Whatever you and I experience now with the mountains, with the earth, with the flat, with the desert, it was not at all like that. It's only a few million years ago there were different configurations. 70 million years ago you had India is almost at the other side of the world. Drifted over 70, 80 million years and caught up with the rest of Asia, and the Himalayas went up because they were squeezed, so some parts. So now we have Himalayan salt. It's all from Pakistan, but never mind. That's the name, it's Himalayan. It's not immediately because everybody wants to climb. Everybody wants to be on top of the mountain because power. You have a better vision. But all of us, we all love power. That's an attribute of your soul. We love knowledge. It's an attribute of your soul. As you are maturing, you like to be patient. Your poor soul is patient all these zillions of years. Now it is in this little mucusy prison of yours. You're moving there and there, and you're looking in the mirror. Say, does it look nice? And on and on and on. Why do you like to be beautiful? Beauty is harmony. Harmony is connectedness. That's all what it is. Everything is beautiful. Even the worst, ugliest thing has within it is beauty. It's other side of harmony. We like to have connectedness in a way that we consider it orderly or in a flow. But what about chaos? It has its order. But you have to look at it the other zone. There is only beauty, there is only majesty, there is only order. But there are two of it. As I reminded you, nothing exists unless it has its double. So there is an order in disorder. There is an order in your confusion. And there is an order in your fusion. Double, there comes the trouble. So there it is. So you can't escape that. You must really see it, smile, love, and enter Islam. Begin to surrender to it. Say, I didn't know who I was, who it is, who it will be, what is death. But look at all the different zones of consciousness we get experience to. Dozens of them. You're a bit conscious of your body, you're conscious of your finger, you're conscious of each of our senses has got so many beams of consciousnesses. You can't taste unless you smell. They're so tightly together. Everything is connected already. But we need to also experience a micro-connectedness immediately. No, I don't know them. We may connect more. Yeah, we should have a lunch, and munchy, and there becomes also occasionally a bit of a punchy. So in between, it doesn't yet. You want to connect. Whoever is you thought is attractive, or their position is interesting or desirable, because you want it all. You don't want to miss anything. You want to be universal being. Well, I tell you, it's a lie. You never will be. Your body is limited, usually up to 6 feet. And if it is 7 feet, you have a lot of problems. You know, you can't find the right clothes, the right shoes, the right so on, so watch out. Isn't that amazing? 7.5, 8, whatever billion people, they're almost about all the same. You know, it's all done so that the clothing industry can thrive. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Can you imagine if there were 900 sizes and shapes? But nowadays, we don't mind. You put up with it, you see, yes. So now, after these few ayahs, we go to another zone. Here it was cosmic. Look at the beauty and majesty of the Qur'an. It's heavens, earth, and then suddenly it goes into وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. These 4 ayahs give you the entire story of the self. Who are you? Can you translate?
The self, he who made it bad.
Look at the word nafs. It is as ancient as probably 5,000-6,000 years. In the Abrahamic languages, it is similar. Later on, it is in Hebrew and in Aramaic, it's nafash, nafushu, it's all the same, nafs. It is also depicting the air that comes out. Breathe, breath. So what is nafsin wa ma sawwaha? Sawwaha. How it has been perfectly proportioned in the seen and the unseen. Then فَأَلْهَمَهَا.
Then he inspired it to understand what is wicked for it and to have fearful awareness of what is right for it.
Here the word nafs means the you. Qur'an is not scientific. It is supra-scientific. You can't say, what is nafs? They say, Allah, it is to do with the lower self. No. Allah says in the Qur'an, I created you from one nafs. So how do you do that? Your nafs now is not the same as it was half an hour ago. Your nafs is not the same as the nafs of the whoever sitting next to you. So how is it? It says oneself. It means that complex entity which we normally refers to as I. In the Quran, nafs is used as a ruh, as a spirit, as a soul, as an ego, as your animal self also. So you must enter into the Quranic cosmology. Otherwise, you won't get it. If you want to approach it with rationality, and if you like that sort of mentality, you will only get some linguistic appreciation. That's not good enough. You must accept the truth that all has emerged from light. All is sustained by light. All the so-called material aspects of our life has emerged from light, from energy. Energy and matter are inseparable. They only appear to be different with our sensory discrimination. We are the middle between the visible, this world, and the invisible. The limited, finite space and time, and the boundless infinitude of reality. We are in the middle. If you want to have a good vision as you're driving, you try to be in the middle of the road. Please don't do it, you'll have an accident, because they've got this idea that you drive on one side and different countries decide differently, so there are confusing steering wheel issues. Left, right, right. So no matter where you go, how do you look at, what you see, your mind immediately wants to pigeonhole it. It's not the right thing. It's the good thing. They've been nice to me. I like to go back there. They were kind to me. They respected me. I don't want to go there. They didn't know who I am. They didn't like me. I had to wait in the queue. They don't know who I am. My mother loved me. She thought, and so on and so on and so on. Go back to your mother. Well, don't tell us that. There is no point. We can't be your mother. The poor woman, she suffered for 9 months. Here, this bug was there. So, this is the nafs. If anybody asks you what is the nafs, say there are thousands of nafses, and you'll be all right. They actually will think you are very wise. Yeah. Don't say much more because they will discover that it is. So basically, in terms of our biological growth, there is the vegetative nafs, which, as any plant, it gathers nutrients, retains it, transforms it into new energies to grow, procreate, and all of the other things that a plant does, and then disposes of the rest. In other words, having taken what is suitable for its growth and development, the rest is discarded. So each one of us has a vegetative nafs. And then there are so many other nafses. In terms of functions, there are dozens of functions. What about your chemical nafs? What about your physiological? What about your hormonal nafs? What about your enzyme nafs? What about this nafs? Your liver only has at least 500 functions. Your liver alone. And on and on and on. And then, as the Qur'an also tells us, the most important major steps is the nafs al-ammara, is the child nafs. Why not? I want that. Don't give it to anybody else. All the Mars bars in the world, 600,000 tons of it, I want it here. Papa, it will melt the South African sun. I want it. I want it. I'll give it to the others. Yes. You want to be the dispensary. You want to play God. This is the nafs, ammara. And then, soon after that comes slightly less mulhama. And then radhiya, mardhiya. There are so many ways you can look at the nafs. This one was just the functional part. The other one is, and on and on and on. Nafs means you. When you were 6, 7, 8 months, you said I. When you are 60 years old, you say I. It's very confusing. Say but your I has changed so much. So the nafs implies the ever-changing you, which is a combination of two spheres. One is that which interacts with the outer world, and its inner world, the body, the organs, the so-called physio-biological, chemical you, and the nur, the light, that is the source of your life. These two together. You say I. So it is true and a lie. When you say, I am touching this, it's true in a physical, local sense, conditioned consciousness sense. It is true you are touching and you're feeling it and your mind has processed it. Yes, all my fingers are touching this and I appreciate it. It's not too soft, not too hard, as I understand it, and so on and so on. Then comes in all the other elements, measuring temperature, measuring, and so on and so on. So, you, I, he, she is a combination of a divine factor beyond the mind to understand, because the mind is within space and time, and the divine light is the cause of space and time. This womb of space and time is a result of the effulgence of infinite reality, of Allah Azza wa Jal, of truth, of haqq, any name you like to give it. So, you are a combination, an alchemical fusion of the infinite and the finite. And the finite is there to realize its root is the infinite. And therefore it is at ease. Then it has achieved Islam, Iman, Ihsan. And then you have done the bit that is your duty. If there is a duty you have, primarily is this. But as a baby, your duty is to obey your parents because they want your goodness for you. What do they want? They want the baby, the child, to grow fairly well in body, mind not too disturbed or distorted, a heart that is pure because it connects to the infinite. Your ultimate reference is your heart. So, educated parents want the child not to be damaged in a manner that is not reversible. Because there are many damages that you cannot go back. And a lot of it is to do with the neuron, if you like, connectedness. You have 10 billion neurons in your head, and another same amount maybe the rest of the body. And the connectedness between them cannot be counted. It's more than there are atoms in the whole universe. So if these have been distorted, if a young child sees all the time quarreling parents, or every 2-3 hours or a day there is a bomb coming or a bullet, how can this child have trust in anything or look for anything as a stable or reliable or referencing? So soon the child grows despising the parents and so on, and the parents don't know what we did. We really meant very well. But of course they all feel guilty, and soon the man blames the woman and the woman blames the man and so on. And if they find genetic link, they blame the grandparents who are already dead by now. So anyway, so they are spared the blame. You and I and he and she and everyone have a genetic connection. Until 50 years ago, it used to be considered to be the most important. Because a person could be responsible to do anything. Genetically, I have got my thieving genes are very strong. Therefore, I am a thief. What do you mean thieving gene? The fellow loved this woman. So he loved this woman. He wanted to marry her. So the parents didn't want her to marry him. So she said, the parents told this man that, our daughter every now and then has a certain special disease. And the neurologists haven't even given it a name. There is not yet an unfortunate doctor whose name will be given to that disease. Can you imagine? The doctor who discovered this supposed to be famous. But can you imagine who are you? I am Abdul Jabbar. And your surname? Alzheimer. It's not Mr. Alzheimer, come around. So anyway, they tell him that this daughter of ours has a special disease. Every now and then, she goes completely berserk. She starts breaking everything in the house, especially the plates to begin with. So he said, don't worry. I have a similar disease. So anyway, they marry. One day he comes home, so everything's broken. So he said, oh, my dear wife, it is my day also that I go berserk also. I'm going to tie you up and beat you black and blue. Because this is my day. That's all what I do. You did all that. It doesn't matter. It's nothing to do with you. I am sick. So it stops, you see. So the nafs is like that. Watch out. So you must be alert through connectedness to your ruh. How many of you have to ask your ruh all the time? How many of you have a reference in your day-to-day? Who is your reference? You're supposed to be Muslims, you love the Qur'an, you love Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How many times do you refer to Muhammad? Ask him. Say, oh, I have these two choices. What do I do? What does he say? Can anybody tell me? What does Muhammad tell you? I have two issues to choose from. One of them is that this is a newer car, but for that I need to also do one of them. So what does he tell you? How to choose? If you're not going to take reference, you will repeat the same mistakes until they become normal. And the reason is because your neuron circuitry has got accustomed to that. So immediately when there is a firing, it goes to the nearest areas where it had already been. So that's why you become sick. It's in my nature, I am always suspicious. Good. I don't like that nature, please go away. I like to trust nature, even if it is the thorn. It has a wonderful purpose. Look at the beautiful rose protected by the thorns. What do we know? Look at the opposites together. فألهمها فجورها. Your nafs is the source of all of your pain, all of your misery is your nafs. وما ظلمناهم ولكن كانوا أنفسهم يظلمون. You had fallen into the tyranny of your inner shaitan. فألهمها فجورها, that's the fujur. تقواها is your ruh. So your nafs, lower self, higher self. If you put them together, yes, you are an animal, but are you behaving according to all that animaldom? Or are you referring to the nur that makes you discriminating? This is very stupid. I can't. Stop it. I will regret it. I don't want to have bad conscience. I want to be present. I want to be joyful. I want to be in the garden. I want to know that the garden is in me. So, and on and on. So it becomes a habit. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. He, whoever purifies the nafs. Now the Qur'an repeatedly tells you, وَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. How is that? It says, he has purified the nafs as one. Can you translate that?
He will indeed be successful who makes it grow in purity.
How do you make it grow in purity? It is mucky. It is shaitan. So the Qur'an, the ayah which says, وَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ, don't ever think you can purify your nafs. Your ruh is ever pure. Leave your nafs aside. It is there for a purpose. It's the thorn that safeguarded the rose. All of your nafsi things were protective of this amazing light of lights, which is your own soul. So, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. If you transcend your nafs, which in a normal speak, purify yourself, reduce your arrogance, reduce your ego, reduce your lust, reduce your desire for control, for wealth, so that you are less incumbent by the distractions from the truth who you really are, which is a soul, which is a divine spirit. وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا.
And he will indeed fail who corrupts it.
So that means you are born biologically, physiologically. Once, now you have to be born again, and you have to be the midwife and the mother, and. So you have two births, one physiological, biological, which you have nothing to do with. It's completely programmed, and so on. And the other one is your spiritual nafs, is your rawhani nafs, is your rawhani reality, is who you really are, which is resonating with reality as reality is. Next.
كذبت ثمود بطغواها إذ انبعث أشقاها فقال لهم رسول الله ناقة الله وسقياها فكذبوه فعقروها فدمدم عليهم ربهم بذنبهم فسواها ولا يخاف عقباها.
Just before you translate, look at the amazing Qur'an. These are three different topics. Each one is a different cosmology. The first bit is about heavens and earth and heart. The next one is about the nafs. And then the third one here, Thamud. It's the people in Arabia. Because the Qur'an is full of such stories and allegories relevant to the Arabian people. Because that's what they talked about. They were not watching 8 hours a day television. That's all they had, a few stories and walk in the openness of the vast desert. So Thamud was a very important example. There were 7 or 8 different such tribal examples. Translate.
Thamud belied the truth in their excessive transgression.
They were like all other people, mucking about, Whoever is amongst them stronger, more powerful, bigger, able to, thick skin, dinosauric thing, shaitanic, they will rule. That's always the case.
When the most wretched of them broke out with mischief.
That was their president, you see, at that time, or their king, or their despot, or whoever. So he emerged and said,
So Allah's messenger said to them, "It is Allah's she-camel, let her drink."
Short of water, it was a mountainous and a very rocky area.
But they called him a liar and slaughtered her. So their Lord crushed them for their wrong action and destroyed them all.
So we destroy ourselves by our wrong action. So here, the individual, personal self, is paralleled by the collective self. We're not separate. You and I and all of us who are concerned about upbringing, responsibility, children, it's not, you cannot control more than a certain amount. No more. Especially nowadays, with the ease of communication, with the closeness of the world. So you can only show the children how things are. But if you are not living it yourself, it will not happen. You cannot without transmission. And transmission will only occur if you yourself are genuinely in it. If you're not in it, who are you kidding? So what's good for the goose, good for the gander. You can't say something unless it's from your heart. Your tongue and your heart must be in unison. Otherwise, it's a lie. Have you done it for yourself? If it is good, I don't see you have done it to yourself. So naturally, you switch off. Naturally, and that's why most children don't listen to the elder people, quite rightly. Because they haven't done it, so they become all the time preachers and teachers and so on, but as though they are excluded. No one is excluded. We're all in the same box of space and time. We all want the same thing, perpetual, continuous, eternal certainty that perfection is already there and the zone of contentment is already there in my heart. That's the whole story. So here comes suddenly the parallel between the individual and community. Thamud is that. We are the people of Thamud. We are the people of Ad. We are the people of all of it. We are the same thing repeats. They are different special flavors. And the people who came before historically is the same, repeats in different fashions. Individual consciousness and collective consciousness are in constant resonance. That is why the importance that communities give to values is a very heavy one. People want to have a simple marriage situation. But because of these so-called more middle-class people have got a bit more money, so they want to have a bit more fuss of it. Why? Because they love status. Why? Because that gives them more power. Why? It gives them more profile, become more important, more respected. It's a lie. That's why they have these miserable weddings. The bigger is the wedding, the quicker is the divorce. It will be more and more and more. Soon there will be a time they say, no, divorce first and then get married. Because it's become so fast that almost switched in time. It's really the same thing with any relationship. If you are willing to terminate it any day, then you are at the point of looking at it afresh. So if you are sensible enough not to have been married, then do promise yourself that every minute you may divorce, every hour, every day, and so on. So you remain in that state. But, so keep it between yourself only. Don't tell others, because they say, look, your mind has been played with. The mind is the interim connector of the infinite, perfection, timelessness, and finite. It's a very important joint. It's a transformer from very high voltage to a low. So you need to respect your mind. Therefore, we think normal mind, healthy mind, rational mind, sensible mind, because you only have the same as everybody else, the five senses. So what do they say? What do they say? If it is to do with the higher light, then your heart knows. If it is to do with light and shadows, that is where you need help of others. Is it the right time? Is it the right place? Is it the right, yeah, and so on and so forth. I like to be close. These Muslims seem to have money. We like to have their trade. So I want to pray with them. But Baba, you have to learn what is their tradition. There is a direction. You can't just stand here and... No, they also do other things. They go and mess up the bathroom also fully when they wash. Go and see. So they call it wudu and so on and so on. You have to be familiar with their culture and so on. Then you say, all right, now, I'd like to be one of you. I've heard so many people saying they love Islam, but not with the Muslims. So it's not an easy challenge. How can you exclude it? You're not going to have incinerators, 7.5 or whatever, 1.5 billion people. What are you going to do? This is what it is. So, why? Because it was not lived fully. It was not brought to the day of their culture. And that is why everybody is harping after the past. The past. It's called salaf. That which is gone. Everybody is going there looking. Everybody is in the cemetery. Very interesting that the most Salafi people in the world nowadays are the people who forbid having any indicator as to where you are buried. But that's also Salaf. You're looking for the past. So where was the past is ever present. Allah is not subject to past, present, or future. Allah is the only reality that is ever present, everywhere, nowhere, and at the same time, and in no time. Now, you have to work that out. If you haven't done it, you need to spend time to فَإِذَا فَرَغْتَ فَانصَبْ. We'll come to that now. Next.
And he does not fear the consequence.
Allah is above values. It is the rububiyyah. There are thousands of arbab, lords, or demigods, or lower gods. Allah as such is not subject to any of the values that we have. All of these values have emanated from Allah. That's why we call Rabb al-Alameen. There is Rabb of Suluk, Rabb of Akhlaq, Rabb of this, Rabb of... All of these gods that the Greek had developed very well. Where did they get it from? Where did the Greek culture come from? It was almost completely born out of the amazing, great happenings in Egypt. And the great happening in Egypt was not only at the time of the pyramids. That was at the end. 4,500 ago was at the end of what happened in Egypt. It began maybe 11,000 years ago. We don't know how, we don't know what. What are these measurements? How did they make these enormous boulders of about 3 tons each move like as though they are in air? It wasn't all what we archaeologists tell us. That is also have some reality because it's physical. But they had the knowledge and the science of making things which were massive, almost becoming like 1 grain. So this is what ended up with Greece, with their hundreds of gods and so on. And this is, where did Isa learn all of his stuff? Where did the Abrahamic lines come from? From the same lineage. It's a human heritage. It's not exclusive. That's why the Qur'an has this beautiful description about Muhammad. And we only sent you as a mercy to all the worlds. Mercy of what? Mercy is harmony. Mercy is goodness. Goodness lasts. Goodness is a zone of energy. If you enter it, you experience it. It's like a field. You enter it, you feel it. The atmosphere changes. The pressure changes. Humidity changes. Everything changes. Same thing as the field of energy of generosity. Your spirit is the most generous. Your soul is unconditionally generous to you. Is putting up with the idiot you. The liar, the camouflage, all the time you're camouflaging, it puts up with all the lies. Day and night you have been lying. And this perfect light is patient. That's why they put it at the end of the 99 name, as-sabur. Patient. It knows it will pass. What is 60, 70, 90 years? It's nothing. I don't count. I am in infinite time, the Nur of Allah. So Allah's Nur is the source from which all the other anwars overflow and are sustained by it and return to it. So where are you? Who are you? What are you doing? Who are you lying to? Who are you trying to impress? Think of yourself all the time. Suddenly, you enter into any of these inefficient bathrooms that you can't open the door back to come out. You know, it's like very good. I think you should design such a bathroom. You know, and keep the fellow there for 6 hours or 7 hours. Now what? What are you going to do? You know, now you know the cockroach is better than you. It can go in and come out from the other side. I discovered I'm not as good as a cockroach. Well, that's a good start. Think Bismillah. What about the ant? What about the fly? What about the mosquito? Here we buzz them, push them, right? Because I want to. Who are you? You are the same as anything alive, with a difference that you can reflect upon reflection upon reflection. That's the difference. It's a magical thing that has happened a few million years ago. That is, Homo sapiens had this double trouble reflection. I'm aware that I'm lying. I'm aware that I'm honest. I'm aware that I was about to be honest. I knew it's not the right time. They were just quarreling. There is the heat of the moment. Anger. Now wait for a few days and so on. Let them have a few more accidents and in between. Then he comes. What are you doing?